We're in 2022 and it's all about girl power. It's crazy how many confident and leading women superheroes we're seeing in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and we are here for it. These days, the spotlight is definitely on Jennifer Walters, aka She-Hulk, and it's getting intense hate from toxic Marvel fanboys. Well, She-Hulk really is a trap set for this part of the fandom, and we'll be talking about how the show Unapologetically becomes a direct attack on these people. To start with, She-Hulk is a woman's world. The hatred this show got from the get-go is something we all saw coming. To start with, the show has a leading female superhero. She's trying to maintain her work life while at the same time building her own reputation as a separate identity from her big old green cousin, Bruce. What many of MCU's fanboys wanted to see was a strong, sexual, angrier than ever female superhero who would walk and talk kind of like her cousin. But that was not what the show's creator, Jessica Gao, had in her mind. In the show, Bruce thinks he can best teach Jennifer how to control her anger when she transforms, but soon realizes that she's already kinda good at it. Even though it's kind of obvious, Jennifer still points out that as a woman, she has to deal with anger and fear way more than he does. So at the end of the day, it's not something new and special. This is where the angry Marvel fanboys come into action. Part of what made Bruce as Hulk so entertaining to the entire MCU fandom was his monkey see, monkey do impulsive attitude when he got angry. And this was fun. But apparently, seeing a woman talk about her sufferings at the hands of men on the daily was not true to the comics, and quite frankly, just boring for them. Because it's like they say, not all men, right? What's funny is that these fanboys were called out for being toxic and misogynistic because, according to the comics, She-Hulk was always supposed to be better at keeping her cool. Coming up is that one Megan Thee Stallion post-credit scene. Yup, this is that one scene that just blew up. Basically, episode 3 of the show ended with a post-credit scene that had Megan Thee Stallion in it. But guess what? She was twerking. Oh, and our very own She-Hulk was twerking with her. You go, girls. While for us, it was super quirky, fun, and sexy, for many of the others, it was a disgrace. Twitter went absolutely crazy, with many people angry over the scene. They couldn't even believe that the MCU would willingly put this out there in the world, because apparently it was too vulgar. They didn't see why Megan Thee Stallion had to be there in the first place. But honestly, director Kat Coiro said she was the perfect fit. Basically, Tatiana introduced Megan as a friend who no one would believe Dennis Bukowski could date. This gave Tatiana the perfect opportunity to dance with the one and only Megan Thee Stallion, and honestly, who wouldn't want to? So what a lot of these fanboys were saying was that the insane, tasteless part of Hollywood was creeping into the Marvel universe, and it was their duty to save it. But was it really just that, or did they just not like two women simply having fun? What we do know is that these fanboys were walking into a double-edged sword, because once again, She-Hulk did exactly what her character in the comics would do. Her character is supposed to be wacky, chill, and confident. So a scene like this, well, maybe a bit cringy, but it definitely wasn't bad. Marvel's toxic fanboys just prefer a more dignified female superhero. Up next, She-Hulk makes fun of the haters in episode 3. With all the hate that was going around, the show's producers knew it was time to clap back and call these people out. In the third episode of The People vs. Emil Blonsky, a scene shows how people respond to She-Hulk in the MCU literally the same way they do in real life. They're complaining that the macho masculine role was stolen and given to a woman when there was no need. They could have just created another hero. She-Hulk really did a good job in taking the online anger and putting it in the series. The audience loved the subtle sass. A lot of the online comments pointed out how repetitive and common these complaints have become over the previous few years, and how the writers of the show addressing this are valid. According to one report, some of the comments in the episode were taken directly from the comment section reactions after the series was announced in 2019. We know She-Hulk's haters aren't going to appreciate the joke being made about them, but they were never going to like the show anyway. Even though a portion of these fans will make offensive remarks to the producers and stars in the show, they will still see anything said against them as an unfair attack. Finally, there are just too many women for haters to digest. The thing is, it wasn't until She-Hulk came out that calling out the toxic side of MCU actually became a thing. It's true that in recent years, Marvel has been producing a lot of shows that are about female superheroes. While we think women are finally getting the recognition they deserve, many fanboys feel threatened that the Marvel Universe is eventually going to become an all-women's league. We know this sounds bizarre, but it's an actual thing. They even have a term for it. It's called the potential MSHE-U. It all started with Captain Marvel, and when that took off, MCU thought it would be cool to branch off to shows like Ms. Marvel and Hawkeye. What She-Hulk did that was never done before was that they introduced an ordinary female character who was strong-willed, and they gave her freedom to do whatever. She could be funny, crazy, and like we've seen before, she could even throw it back like nobody else. This was way different than the previous female superheroes who still kind of maintained some level of the typical female superhero stereotype. Maybe this active character was the last straw for these toxic fanboys, and they realized it was time to bring the men back, to set everything back in order. Well, when you look at it, even though both Tony Stark and Steve Rogers have left the MCU, the number of men hasn't really gone down. If anything, it has actually grown. All that's happening is that it's becoming more open to people who aren't white straight men. And here's some news related to MCU you might have missed out on. First off, we're finally getting a Fantastic Four reboot. A big update was announced at the San Diego Comic-Con, and apparently it's been in the works for a long time. The Fantastic Four group will finally be joining the other Marvel heroes. Hold your horses, because we still don't know anything about the project's cast or plot. We know when it's coming out though, and where it fits in Phase 5 of the MCU. Fans have been asking for John Krasinski to play Reed Richards for years, and he finally did it in the hit movie. It was a fun surprise for fans, and an interesting way to bring the group into the MCU years before the new Fantastic Four movie comes out. Up next, fans are threatening to boycott Black Panther 2. With Wakanda Forever all set to release, it looks like some of us aren't so enthusiastic about it for one main reason. At SDCC, Marvel gave us a sneak peek into the next movie, but the trailer showed that Chadwick Boseman's role changed after his death. So it's kinda understandable why some people are upset about him being replaced by another hero. Attachment to an actor as good as Boseman is pretty understandable. That's why no one's convinced that any other hero can take his place. But there were some fans who also thought the show should just go on, tweeting that he would have preferred that. Then, someone else also brought up this one time that Boseman said he would have wanted T'Challa to be played by someone else to keep the movie's legacy going. Boseman's family has said in public that they agree with hashtag recast T'Challa, and that keeping 616 T'Challa alive is a way to honor Chadwick, they wrote. Last but not least, the Spider-Man PC mods got TMNT too. Since Marvel's Spider-Man Remastered came out recently on PC, modders have been having a field day with it. There's a mod that makes Spider-Man look like Stan Lee, another that makes him look like Saul Goodman from Better Call Saul, and still another that makes him look like Uncle Ben's grave. The PC video game mods have recently added the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Leonardo, Raphael, Michelangelo, and Donatello to the Marvel branded video game. The mod basically replaces some of the game's outfits with those of the four Turtle brothers. Raphael's in place of the armored advanced suit, Leonardo's in place of the future Foundation suit, and Michelangelo's in place of the bombastic Bagman suit. Have you ever come across toxic MCU fanboys? That's a wrap for this video. Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.